what your life's all about, and that's where you're taking your reflection a little deeper. And in the third stage of this rite of passage, it is that reincorporation. They talk about, sociologists will talk about rite of passage has 3 stages to it: separation, transition, reincorporation. And it's at that point you say, I got to show the world, I got to reincorporate, or even not even reinvent or reintroduce myself to the world. That
that's when the Hill writing part came up. But actually, as I was getting through the Hill transition, what I started to see was that, okay, then if I'm gonna be in her for 20 years, then that's what it will be. I ain't gonna let this place kill me. You feel me? Whatever I do, I'm gonna, from this point on, I just need to think about living, think about, freedom, put my obvious behind me pretty much, and that started the Hill transition.
Right. You went in as a 22, you went in at 21, and from 22 on, I mean, by the time you were sentenced, you were 22, I think, right? You didn't do 20 years.
No.
And how much of that was another transitional relief for you that moved you to this understanding of your reincorporation, your reintroduction to society? How much how much of it was relief that you didn't have to do 20 years?
Well, that was like a godsend again. That, I got the opportunity, because from the beginning I thought it shouldn't have been to Vietnam. But how we feel when it comes to the Lord doesn't matter. I mean, that's why we need to stay away from the Lord. So I was stuck there for all this time, and then luckily my appeal came through. And so I had a shorter time, so now I knew if I ever got a chance at freedom again, I never want to put myself through this Hill scenario, and I didn't want others to go through this. I mean, if I could prevent it, then that would be my goal.
You've been doing that type of service leadership, man, and certainly you recognize as a leader in your way that you're not, indispensable. None of us are, and you address that, and that's beautiful. We're talking to Jernell Leroy Tugdale. I encourage folks, get the books, 3 of them, the trilogy I call them, Redemption. Redemption 1 is a real life saga. Redemption Book 2, the saga continues. And then Redemption Book 3, the sequel to my real life saga. And I've read Book 1, and let me just say, I think it's, from what I got from Book 1, listening audience, this is a book very much like 1 or 2 others that are out there. Why I Killed My Brother, to me, is a very important book that I think that I encourage others to read, just as I encourage others to, in your book clubs, read, Redemption. Let me just ask you that. I ask this of all, I got Kevin Lewis over here, and it's evident of how much God has played a turnaround for you following that experience. And I always ask the brothers, we talk about atonement, because there's families on both sides, right? Reflectively. At what point did you reach a sense of atonement, knowing a life taken?
Okay. Well, when I looked at it, the Hill scenario, right? It might sound a little harsh, but in a sense.
And say what you feel comfortable with.
I just feel like the way it played out, I feel like in life everything happens for a reason.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So in a sense, when I look back on it, I hated that it happened, but it looked like it was supposed to good at it.
Right. Well, I get and understand what that means.
So in a sense, I never took on that I wouldn't say I never told him that it was my fault, because in the end it was my fault, but I say the person had a lot to blame because he brought me into the aspect. You know what I mean? Like
I got it.
Let's say we're fighting and you grab a bet, I feel your bet too far type thing.
Okay.
So I felt I thought that he pushed us into overboard.
And in what life there aren't any rules. The rules are, hey, you know, when I say there aren't any rules, and if you want to talk about wood life, street life, you know, the real deal thing in terms of there aren't any rules. And as you have acknowledged, you face the consequences. And I appreciate that acknowledgement.
But that's the myth that in the wood life, it's no rules, but in the world it's rules. So it's rules anyway.
Right.
In the wood, we may not think it's rules, but it's rules.
It's rules.
You know what I mean? So the same way, if you break the law, you will get in trouble. That's how I put it.
I have to ask you this question, because I have family who used to live in Middletown also. When you reflect on your years growing up in Middletown, and then Middletown today, how much has it evolved or changed? Or how much of it still remains the same?
I think it's pretty much the same vibe.
Yeah.
I think it's the same, like the same guns on. So I feel like there's a lot of little means being raised right now. You feel me? Without that guidance right now. So
I appreciate you sharing that, man. And that's because you know I'm not from Middletown here. I've had people, family members who grew up in Middletown. And in my younger days of having to spend time on Angle Street and Parsons Road with that family, we lived all along there in summer. You know, you get a sense of what's different in Bermuda. You get a sense. Look, I'm from Somerset. I go down, you know, I know certain things. Okay, this is a little different. You know, my mom's a Point Hill girl. She's back a town girl. I know what, and when we were told those things, I know what that's about. You know, and so when I hear of it now, because I look at it through the lens of someone who is in my field of education. I look at many of our young people, our children. And I do look at how much does their environment shape behavior, belief, all of that. And in redemption, you capture something. You capture a lot of that. But as you capture it, you capture also the evolution. And like I said, I haven't read 2 and 3, but in 1, there's a predictability of the evolution, and you communicated some of it. Hey, I got a second chance. I got a second chance. And so when you reflect and think of your second chance, what is most of your time? How is most of your time spent with this second chance daily, conveying change for others as you do change for yourself?
How do I? No, sorry.
No. How do you when you think in terms of your life is going through a change, and you communicated that, and so I'm curious now with the changes that your life has taken and where you are now. How much on a daily basis do you speak that change to others?
Okay. Now, in my circles, I try to push my message. You know what I mean? If I see, because everybody respects me. So if I see God seeing like stuff things spiritual, I think stuff to get in trouble, I'm trying to get everybody to think a little more. Think about what you're doing. You really got to do that. You know what I mean?
Is it received well? Is it received well as someone who's going through it?
Yeah, because I mean, I guess since the level of maximum people who tend to really think about it more, that's in law, got me in trouble. So I guess they, my work more noted than just a regular person. So I guess it does help.
Yeah. Is that a conversation that you have more with young men? Do you have that conversation with mothers and fathers of young men who may, you see, like you said, are you still in the Middletown area? Is that still your neighborhood today?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you think in terms of that neighborhood today, and you said, I see a lot of little leagues, how do you address those little needs and their families, given your credibility?
Okay. Luckily in the Middletown area, but like I see a lot of my brethren, like around my age, are trying to push towards the youth and give them a little upbringing, you know what I mean? So we're getting a little more help than let's say in my day we got, because the other guys wasn't really trying to guide us through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I think now a lot of my brethren are really trying to push a little more. You know what I mean? Yes, they just Boulevard.
Yeah.
Shane with the dancers.
Yeah.
You know, the
I know.
all them are doing.
I know of them. Yeah.
That are doing good community stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, so hopefully that helps. Like majority of the youth deterred, but you still see a lot of them running rebel. You know? It's like that. It's like that. I call it the gangster crap. Still got us. So caught up in trying to be there.
Right.
You know?
I asked that question, you know, from because it's not just Middletown. It's not just detail. We're seeing, you know, every parish has that, I call it that neighborhood. Every parish, some more vividly than others. When I say vividly or noisier, they're in the papers more than others. But every parish has what we're talking about in a Middletown, in, you know, detail. And when I think in terms of course, well, shoot, you saw what we're dealing with in terms of work the other night. Yeah. And the young brother down in sitting on east, you know. We can go on and on. If we're talking the last 3 months, last 3-4 months, you see the same similar type of patterns in different neighborhoods. And it had me not just thinking in terms of the night, because I believe I'm one of those people who believe you can pinpoint where these things are. You can pinpoint, and that's a subject matter that's coming up on Wednesday. But I think your knowledge, your experience, and your transformation is a valuable transformation to speak to the solution. When I speak to young brothers like yourself and Kevin Lewis and Solani, there are a whole host of others, even in the book, you were giving names, right, of persons in the book in a scenario, and I could identify 4 of them vividly as former students of mine.
Let me speak on that. Also in my books, you know what I mean, I give names and everything, so you know what I mean. I don't put everybody on the bus, but to make the story more authentic, I actually give you real life characters. Well, not characters, but
the names of the individuals.
The names of the individuals, everything's in there.
How did that go over with the brothers? Because your book is in, your brothers read your book in prison.
Yeah.
How did it go over with some of them?
Well, that goes back on doing things my way. You know what I mean? You know?
All right.
You know, so,
and you said,
you
called it for who it is, what it is,
yeah.
And you do say nothing is spoken disparagingly about any of those who you speak about. You speak about, you give their names in the context of the behaviors and actions committed. It's all written. And I'm like, oh, dang, yeah. 1, 2, 4, there were 4 students of mine. And I'm glad you did, man. Really, and I had some conversations with one or two people